Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to your August 2018 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So I was kind of oohing and eyeing when I was compiling your transit list because there's so much positive stuff happening in your career sector. So hopefully that's something that you want to be on fire, because it is. As the month begins, the sun is in Leo. Leo is your 10th house of career. And I will say there's a little bit of a fly in the ointment in that Mercury's retrograde there. So any kind of like project, or if you're even trying to secure a position and you were like sending in your resume, maybe it got lost in the mail, or there was a miscommunication with some higher ups and you're not getting that call back. But don't worry, because at the end of the month, Mercury goes direct. There's a lot of stuff happening in August, to say the least. So it's one of those very eventful months. And I get this feeling of like tying up loose ends for all of us, because the retrogrades of these personal planets both go direct, of Mercury and Mars. So Mercury is retrograde there. You could be rethinking something, even like with career matters, like, gee, do I really want to do this? I guess that could be happening for you as well, although I don't know why, because there's so much of a focus on career in August. And other things that are happening is Venus going into Libra on the 6th of August. Now, that means that Venus was in Virgo, the sign right before it, until that date, which is your 11th house of friendships and groups, and your it's the luckiest house, but it's also considered hopes and wishes. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to say about this is that this is a friendly angle to you. Virgo is an earth sign. You sextile Virgo. So this is nice, and you could meet a love partner through your circle of friends during this time, or if you belong to some group, you could meet a partner through that. But then when Venus goes into the 12th house in Libra, you're getting kind of secretive about this person. If you meet them through friends, you might decide, hey, let's not tell anybody that we're seeing each other. Maybe you're introduced to a person and you decide to keep it kind of quiet for whatever reason. Maybe you just want to nurture the relationship without a bunch of people putting in their own 2 cents. I don't know. But also, some people may meet someone that it is clearly a karmic relationship. You sense that you're twin flames. You sense that you're soulmates. The 12th house is the karmic house. It's the house of past lives. So there is that spiritual influence that could affect you when you meet this person, and it's like that instantaneous knowing. I really think that with these kinds of soulmate or very serious relationships, that we tend to know that they're happening. And I mean, I'm thinking about, in my case, I don't use terms like soulmate for my own personal situation, but just that feeling of when you meet someone that you just have known them forever. And you might not even say that to yourself, but it's like you're picking up where you left off from maybe, your last life. Okay. And so there's that happening. And the very next day on the 7th, Uranus goes retrograde. Uranus, that erratic planet, but retrograde even more so, in your 7th house of marriage. So all of these things could be connected. There could be someone that you have met that you're kind of keeping on the down low because you're still married. And that could certainly be what is happening. But this lets me know that when Uranus, even when it was direct, you may have found that your marriage has been kind of a little bit, there's been a lot of surprises in it. Taurus has just only recently entered, or Uranus is just recently entered into Taurus. So it's not like it's been there that long. But suffice it to say that whether retrograde or direct, Uranus for the next 7 years in your marriage sector or committed partnership sector will definitely have an influence of, well, I shouldn't say definitely, I'm not sure, but it could have an influence of being very, of destabilizing your marriage, your monogamous relationship. You may open up your relationship during this time. If you've been monogamous and you've been sticking to your guns, like I'm sure 99.9% of Scorpios do not want an open relationship, but something may force it wide open. I'm trying to think of what it could be, but I'm not gonna. I was gonna say your partner just says that they're bisexual or something, and maybe if you love them, you'll let them go there. I don't know, but the point is that there are unusual kinds of twists and turns in the plot of your marriage, and the thing is, it could be as simple as you have an unusual marriage setup. Maybe you're dating somebody right now and you end up getting hitched, but you decide that you're going to live in separate places. Or maybe you were going to get married and you decide to live together. And you come from a very conservative background, maybe a conservative religious background. And you decide, you know what, I don't want to get married. And you totally loosen up that idea of what it means to be committed to someone, and you say, I don't need a certificate to know that I'm committed to this person. I don't need guarantees, and I don't think it's immoral to do this. So it could just kind of revolutionize your idea, your concept of what marriage is. So that might be kind of good, and it might breathe life into a relationship that has gotten very stagnant. Now, what else is happening? I hope you can't hear the noise outside because there's some kind of drilling or something that is going on. But I did want to get to this reading. So there will be a solar eclipse on the 11th in your 10th house of career. Now, this is kind of what I was alluding to career-wise, because a solar eclipse is a very powerful new moon. So new seeds being planted, new opportunities opening up for you career-wise. But remember, you did have that Mercury retrograde, and Mercury retrograde is still on at the time of this solar eclipse. So you are still in the process maybe of rethinking what it is that you're doing, or how you're doing it. And so there still is like this kind of unsettled energy, even though there's new beginnings at the same time. Remember that the solar eclipse does not begin and end on that day. That it could, you could look a month ahead and see the effects of this. The very next day, Mars, which has been retrograde, goes back into Capricorn, the sign right before Aquarius, where it began retrograding in late June. So Mars started retrograding in your 4th house of home and family, and now it has gone into your 3rd house of siblings, your local neighborhood, and communication itself. It could be teaching and learning. It could be the internet. But when we talk about family things, I mean, it is possible, Scorpio, that you're opening up an old feud with a family, with family members. And that in late June, it may have started, or maybe even during the shadow period before that, it may have started with your mother and, maybe your parents in general, and then it has kind of now filtered down to siblings. So what could this be about? I don't know. Maybe it's about a property or something like that. So on the 19th, Mercury goes direct, and this is in your 10th house of career again in Leo. And so any kind of snafus, misunderstandings, delays, they have been sorted out, and now you're ready to move forward. There will be a bit of a shadow period before Mercury gets back to the point where it was when it retrograded. I don't have that in front of me. But so don't just assume that everything is going to be perfect on the 19th. There may still be wonky things happening. I can tell you, talking about shadow periods, that sometimes those have been the most challenging for me because today that I record this is the Mercury retrograde, the official start to it on July 25th. And I had computer problems a couple of days ago. So definitely just you can look forward to smoother sailing ahead, just kind of coast along because we still have Mars retrograding. And that's also a time where things are being rehashed, reviewed. And so then we have the full moon in Pisces on the 26th. And this is in your 5th house of romance. So if you've been seeing someone, maybe that person that you were kind of slinking around with, maybe you find out something about them. Maybe they said to you, no, I'm single. I swear I'm single. It's just that I just don't want, let's just keep this amongst ourselves. This has nothing to do with me being married or anything like that. I would feel more comfortable if the two of us just kind of like, we don't need them to know about our relationship. And meanwhile, they are married and you find out somehow. Or a relationship where you're dating, you take it becomes public maybe. The fullness of the moon brings it out into the light of day. So maybe you've been kind of hiding this relationship and you decide to go public with it. Or it could be too that if you've been dating someone, you take it to the next level. You take it to that 7th house level of commitment. It could be a great time for creativity. The 5th house is creative endeavors. Could have some great ideas that are kind of from your just your imagination really being on point. And then the very next day, Mars goes direct in your 3rd house. So maybe there's a truce. Maybe if you've been fighting with siblings or neighbors, you kind of like let it go. I was thinking too with Mars in the 4th house, you could be like, retrograding. You could be like putting on an addition to your house or renovating your house and pissing off the neighbors because of it. And starting a war with the neighbors. And then you kind of like make nice with them. Or at least the fighting stops. I think when Venus goes into the 3rd house, that would be more like that. And actually, Venus ain't going there anytime soon, come to think of it. So you might just have to settle for a truce. So anyway, Scorpio, that's what's happening. It's pretty jam-packed, isn't it? And of course, you've got Jupiter in your sign now direct. Jupiter is direct in Scorpio. So that's good news for you because you are benefiting from Jupiter being in your sign at the moment. So I think that you're pretty good right now. I think you're coasting along pretty nicely, especially with career. Yeah, with career and love matters, come to think of it. Okay, well, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I offer natal chart interpretations and other types of readings too, obviously. But I'm going to link the natal chart interpretation because there would be nothing more I would love than to kind of try to figure out what makes a Scorpio person tick. And try to make you squirm a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. And to also give you some of your own personalized trends for the coming year that have to do with your actual chart. Okay, you guys, you take care of yourselves. Bye.